Hello, my name is Kevin Delaney. I am head professional here at Thaden Boys Golf Club. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be looking at backspin. More specifically, we're going to be looking at descent angles of golf balls and backspin and what combinations that you need to maximise your shot so that you can hold greens more consistently. Right, one of the most common questions that I get asked when I'm teaching is how do I get backspin and how do I get the ball to spin back? Now, there's a couple of different factors that need to be considered. One is quality of strike. You've got to be able to strike the ball properly. You've got to be using the right equipment. If you're using a hard distance golf ball, it's harder to get the ball to spin back. You need something that's going to be relatively softer and have the ability to be able to spin more to maximise your chances of being able to play that shot. Now, it's definitely something that you see on TV. A lot of the guys are hitting shots in and you'll see the ball spinning back, but it's sometimes that you guys struggle with that while you're playing your rounds of golf at your golf club. Now, one thing that I've sort of got to look at here is the combination of the angle of descent of the golf ball as opposed to the backspin that's imparted on it, to see what impact that has and how the ball reacts on the putting surface when it hits. Now, angle of descent is the angle that the ball is going to descend into the green at. Obviously backspin's backspin. Now, the greater the angle of descent, so the steeper at which the ball falls down, so the less forward momentum that the ball has, put in with backspin, the more chance that you've got to spin it back. Now, the way that I'm going to measure this is I'm going to go out onto the golf course, play 3 different holes. I'm going to play one hole where the ball is, where the hole is below, one where it's level, and one where the ball is above me, and I'm going to show you the impact that is going to have. Right, so I've come out onto the 3rd hole here at Thaden. This is par 3. Now, off the forward tee, it's about 130 yards. Now, I've measured it on my Bushnell, which tells me, takes into account the slope, and it tells me exactly what the playing distance is of this hole. So this is playing at 120 yards to the flag where it is today. So this is a standard sort of knockdown wedge. So what I'm going to do is do 3 holes and use the same playing distance. So it's going to mean that I'm going to vary a little bit on the actual length of the shot, but the playing distance is the same. So on this one, the green or the flag is 6 degrees lower than the height from where the height of the tee is. So it's quite a significant drop. And let's see what impact that has on the ball when it lands on the green. Right, so there's definitely backspin there. The ball stopped and span to the side and didn't really progress further down the green. So there's definitely more control there, having a greater angle of descent. So the spin rate stays the same on the shot, but because the angle of descent is greater, it gives me the ability to spin the ball more than what I potentially would on a different shot. So we're going to go to a different hole now and see what the impact is then. Right, so now we're on the 7th hole here at Thaden. So I've measured this again on the Bushnell. It's 4 degrees increase to where the green is. So the green is above my eye line. I can't see on the top of the surface. So this is the one where the angle of descent of the ball is going to be more acute. So like the last hole, the spin rate should be, assume that I hit it well, more or less the same as the last one, but the angle of descent of the ball into the green is going to be more acute. So what I'm looking for is that when this one lands, it should bounce and run on. Now obviously I can't see on the green, so we'll hit the shot and then we'll go up the top and have a look. Right, so on the 7th you could definitely see that when the ball landed on the green, as opposed to the 3rd where the 3rd stopped and checked nicely, because the angle of descent was that much more acute, the ball has bounced and run on. Now the spin rate is going to be more or less the same. Both shots were good, I hit them both well, so that I would expect the spin rate to be more or less the same, but you can see that the angle of descent of the shot has a major impact in what happens when the ball hits the putting surface. Right, so we're on the last shot here, which is on the 11th hole. Again, exactly the same playing distance, but this time this is perfectly flat. So from where the ball is to where the flag is, there's no change in elevation, so this is flat. So I'm expecting the reaction of the ball on the green to be somewhere in between the two shots. Now it's worth saying at this point that it is a little bit breezy out here and it's slightly downwind. Now if it's slightly downwind, there's going to be a little bit more force pushing the ball forward, so a little bit more momentum that way. So unfortunately it's going to mean that it's not quite going to react on the green as it would do if there was no wind. This is going to push it on a little bit further, but I would have thought it's not going to run as far as the last shot. Right, so that's really interesting to play those 3 holes there. The first hole, the 3rd, where the green was below, the angle of descent of the golf ball is going to be far greater. So as the ball's landed, it's got the ability to spin more. When I played the 7th hole, the green being above where I was playing, the ball's just not going to spin as much because the angle of descent of the golf ball coming in is far more, the angle is reduced, the spin isn't enough to be able to get the ball to spin back, so you can see that the ball sort of got to bounce on. On the 3rd shot that I hit, unfortunately it was a little bit windy, so it just kind of pushed the ball on a little bit, but you still got the ball to stop to on a flat surface. I know from sort of testing that the angle of descent of the golf ball when I'm hitting that sort of shot, so I was hitting like 120 yards kind of knockdown wedge into it, I know that the angle of descent for the golf ball is around about 46 degrees, and the spin rate is sort of anything between 6,500 revolutions to 7,000 revolutions per minute. I'm not saying that that's perfect, but that kind of works for me. I know that when I'm playing the shot that I've got the ability to stop it on most greens, and that works through the whole bag. So whatever club I'm hitting, because the height that I can generate, I can get the ball to stop. So when you're playing, you know, if you're seeing that the ball isn't stopping on greens and you want to get a little bit more control, you've got to try and work on getting your shots up that little bit higher to get them to drop down, to give you a little bit more control. Certainly when you're looking on tour, I mean, if you looked at Rory McIlroy or someone like that, the apex of their drivers, if we talk drivers, the highest point at which the ball is when they've hit that club is about 120 feet. Now when the average golfer plays, it's probably 60 to 70 feet. So just think about that. If they can stand there and generate enough power to be able to get the ball up that high with their driver, you know, you can bet your life that all of their clubs, they're gonna be hitting them much higher. So that's why they have the ability to stop the ball. So it's definitely something that you can try. The easiest way for me to show it was to play the 3 different greens, so that I can say, right, so the spin rate is consistent, the shots are exactly the same, but it's the easiest way to alter the angle of descent of the golf ball into the green to illustrate how you get the control. Listen, it's just food for thought. Leave any comments down below. Let me know if you try this. You know, this is just something that definitely through the summer where the greens are getting that bit firmer, it may help your game. Just to think about your, you know, how high you hit the shot to be able to get it to come down. So feel free to leave any comments. Please like the video, share it about, and subscribe as well. You know, these things are free. You can also follow me on any of my other social media platforms. The links are going to be down below.